He's a beautiful big bass. Can't do that with other surface lures that have got trebles hanging down and things like that. You can't throw it in on top of all of this cover. It just gives you such an advantage to get your lures in where the other people aren't getting theirs. And it's such a realistic presentation where there's this green cover and all this area that frogs can be moving or little lizards can be living and moving around on the bank. To have one of these frogs, and they're so versatile. They cast like a rocket, so they're very easy. If you want to go searching fish over flats or something, you can do that. But in here, where it's really tight, you can throw these things in and vary up your retrieve. Bass will love a stall, and you don't even have to move it far. You can just pop it around like that, and because of that floating little bubble in the front there, the chin bounces around and pulls the fish in. Or you can straight burn it back and that'll pull them in as well. So it's probably a better retrieve in heavy cover like this. To give it a chance, just sit it in there with lots of little stalls. Yep, like that. Oh, that's how you do it. And if you give them a chance to make a decision by leaving it in there, you're a much better chance. So flats fishing, you're going to burn it across, but fishing around this cover, definitely worth giving it the time in there. Come on, big fella. Get in here. This time it's taken on that back one, so it definitely pays to run that back stinger there. Just support his belly weight. You can see there, he's caught the back one. So it's worth running that if you can. Doesn't matter, because even though there's an extra hook there, they're weedless. And the bass love it. So there it is, it's just popped around, so you can fix it up. There's no dramas with these things. They're really manoeuvrable on the hook, and they need to be like that so you get a better hook up rate. The Lunkerhunt prop frog. You can use it in heavy cover like I have here, or throw it around on the grasses and the flats. Their paddling action with these double props at the back just calls fish in brilliantly. And I mean, you know, cod fishing, definitely bass, but Saratoga, probably the Barra guys are going to love this more than anyone, I reckon, because across lily pads up north, they're just going to kill it. Be able to hear that noise from this prop frog as it comes through the water. The bass just love that. You can see the way that I'm fishing it. I'm actually throwing it up onto the mat and then burning it back with little stalls, and you might be able to pick up his little chin there just coming out of the water like a frog does when he stops. And the setup that I'm using is obviously a bait caster with a little softer tipped rod, and that just helps with these weedless lures, these collapsible frogs and mice and things like that you might use, because when they crunch down you need to give them half a second just to take it down, crunch down, close their mouths, and then you can set the hook. So a softer tip rod like this, you can see that, just allows you to load up a little bit better just as they turn and start to take off with it. You don't have to move it all that far. It's just a half wind of the handle and a little stall. And a lot of the time the bass are sitting up in that weed, so they're already there watching as the lure comes across the surface of the weed, or if they're on the outer edge, they can hear it coming. With their lateral line, they're just eyeing it in, paying attention to how it's moving and timing it, so as soon as it comes over the edge and they get a visual shot of it, they're on. Very realistic for a frog to come moving through all of this matted weed. Oh, that's how you want to fish these things. Oh. These Lunkerhunt prop frogs are the business around these weedy mats and heavy grass cover. Their action on a medium burn and then a stall is unbeatable. They're so realistic as a representation of a frog. Give you a look at this belter. Come on, mate. Get up here. And I want to show you how I've hooked it. There's an extra stinger at the back there that you can run, but I'll just show you there. I'll give you a look at the lure in a sec. He's a beautiful big bass. He's around that 37, I suppose, and just crunched down on this Lunkerhunt frog. Have a look at this. So the way that they're rigged, you can run it with an extra stinger at the back. You can see these little prop legs that just spin around at the back, and they work together to create just an amazing audible sound and a bubble trail. And as those bubbles are popping as it's dragging along, it just pulls these bass in. It's very soft. So Lunkerhunt's plastic with these collapsible weedless frogs is really, really soft, and they've come out of the States really for the American bass, but God, they're so good on these Australian bass as well, and they're so soft that Australian bass have no problem in just crunching them down and getting smashed. Like I said, at rest, this thing sits just like a frog. If you've ever watched frogs moving through the water when they stall, it just sits perfectly in the same profile as a frog, and they're going to do the damage if you start throwing these things around these little weedy edges. And you might have seen there, I actually threw it up because it's weedless. You can throw it up onto the weed or into the grass and then slowly move it back with a couple of little stalls like you'd see a frog moving. They sort of paddle along and push along and then stall and then move again, and the bass love that retrieve. These Lunkerhunt prop frogs, you got to give them a crack. They're amazing to watch, easy to cast. They're fairly heavy still, even though they float up high. You can see how deep I've just crawled that back from, way back at the base of this tree. These things are just great for throwing in and around these fallen trees and the sticks and leaves. They'll just pop through it all and crawl over the top of it, and often that's where the bass, the Murray cod, the barra are living. So at rest as well, they have these legs just sort of move and go back to a rest position, so they're kind of moving at the stall, which is even better. It's another little feature of these things. If you like the action that you're seeing with this sort of stuff and these reviews that I'm doing, and you like some of the tips and you can use some of that, you're finding value out of it, make sure you subscribe to my channel. I've got loads of stuff coming, all the latest lures to hit the market I'm just reviewing, and if there's anything that you want to see more of or get some tips on, some rigging tips or any sort of action stuff that you're after, just put it in the comments below and I'll get back to you and try and get some footage for you to help you out. It's all about getting you more action on the water. These Lunkerhunt prop frogs are the business.